Hey there! It's been a while, hasn't it? Hopefully it hasn't been too long since our last journey together. Today's video is a bit of everything. Some random thoughts, a little ranting, and maybe even a few insights worth holding on to. So sit back, get comfy, and let's dive into today's topics. Who knows? Maybe we'll add a little extra goodness to the world along the way. You know, I've been reflecting a lot on how we often neglect rest, like it's something we can just squeeze in later. The last few weeks were wild for me. I was buried in work, juggling so many projects and tasks while still trying to make time to do these videos. It felt like there was no time to just breathe. I'd work from 9 to 6, and even when I got home, there were always chores or errands that needed to be done first. My day didn't really start until after midnight. Only then did I have time for myself. And by the time I finally shut things down, it was 3 or 4 a.m. every night. Then I'd wake up and do it all over again. Looking back now, it's kind of funny. I was in a total mess, but I didn't even realize it at the time. What do you think about this? Does this kind of routine sound familiar to you? Another thing I like to think about is how we push ourselves to do more. Like, there's this constant pressure to stay ahead, to always be productive. like we're failing if we're not always busy. It's almost like you should only take a break when you've retired or something like that. But what if real progress happens in the moments we choose to pause? What if the quiet spaces we carve out for ourselves are where the real clarity and growth take place? Honestly, for me, I find myself able to focus and come up with better ideas when I'm not thinking about it. I know some people may not agree with me, and they're not wrong either. For some, that constant drive keeps them motivated, and maybe they thrive on the hustle. But I guess the key is figuring out what balance works for you. You know what's interesting? How inspiration often shows up when we're not even looking for it. The best ideas tend to come when we're doing something completely ordinary, taking a walk, washing dishes, or just hanging out with friends. It's like when we give our minds a chance to wander, creativity finds its way in. But don't get me wrong, sometimes my creativity kicks in when I'm at a dead end or right up against a deadline. Funny how the brain works, right? For example, I was struggling with what to write or talk about for days, trying to force it, and nothing came. Then, out of nowhere, while I was doing something totally unrelated, the inspiration hit me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this now. And that's the thing. Sometimes the best ideas come when we least expect them. You just have to trust the process and give yourself a little room to breathe. Creativity, like rest, needs its own time to grow. So, speaking of inspiration and rest, let's talk about routines and structure. I know, routine can sound a bit dull, right? But hear me out. Structure doesn't have to be restrictive. In fact, it can make life smoother and more balanced. I used to think, why should I let something like that dictate my day? But I realized that when you've got some rhythm to your routine, it takes the guesswork out of a lot of things. You're not wasting energy deciding what to do next, and that leaves more space for creativity, rest, or even just a moment to breathe. Now, I'm finding my balance between structure and freedom. Having a basic routine in place actually gives me more freedom for those unexpected moments of inspiration. Like when I'm writing, working on a video, or making music, 90% of the time it feels like I'm not hitting the mark, but then suddenly, out of nowhere, something clicks. It's an amazing feeling, to be honest. But yeah, let's not forget to zone out and take breaks too. When you push too hard, you can end up burning out, and that leads to its own set of problems. So yeah, thinking about it now, I feel like I'm learning something new every day. Being busy has taught me the value of rest and how it connects to how we manage ourselves, and of course, how we optimize our time. Time really feels like the biggest currency out there because once it's gone, you can't get it back. Sure, you can spend money to save time, but can you pay to reverse it? You know what I mean? That said, time keeps moving, never stopping. And I've realized how important it is to manage it well. Finding the right approach to balance everything, to make sure I'm spending my time where it matters. It's something I'm still figuring out. It's funny, though, because I've been hearing this kind of advice forever, from books or older generations. They always had a blueprint for how to get ahead, but I guess I had to learn it the hard way. Still, I'm learning to appreciate the present more. No rush, just enjoying where I am right now. Hey, just to wrap up, we covered a lot today. We talked about rest, slowing down for better ideas, balancing structure with flexibility, and how time is our most valuable resource. I guess that's enough rambling for now. Hope I didn't lose you. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. Here's one last song before we wrap things up. See you next time.